And welcome back. Continuing to work on the right flap. In this video, we're going to start assembling the pieces together to what looks like a frame. So right here you see me working on the ribs of the flap itself, and the plans have you cut off a small tab on a particular side of each of the ribs, and this is to allow you access to the rivet on the other side. The gap is so narrow at the ends of these ribs, there's no way to get any kind of bucking device to the back side of that rivet. The other rivets at the end of these ribs, the opposite side has a little circular cutout to allow you to get a rivet gun in place to do a back riveting. But there's just no way to do that with that very end rivet, so they have you cut off a little tab. Now going through and just preparing every rib, I believe if I recall correctly, for the right flap, there's going to be all of the ribs are, I believe, the right rib or right type ribs, and then there's one left type rib at the other end. And so when you're assembling, you just want to make sure that you're careful to put the right rib in the right location. There's that one different rib. I was just match drilling all of the flap spar ends of the ribs to number 30 so that they can match up with the spar. Now, if I recall correctly, the holes are lined up so that it's almost idiot proof. And I say almost, in that there's 3 holes that line up to the rib, or to the spar of the flap for each rib, and the center hole is offset. So there's 2 holes that are closer together, and then the third hole is a little bit further away. So that way, if you put the rib in upside down, there's no way to rivet that middle hole. So that helps to ensure that you're lining up the ribs correctly. Now it's just up to you to make sure that you're using the correct left or right rib in that particular place. Going through and deburring all of the edges, again, trying to make things not sharp, using the so-called bleed test afterwards. One thing that I have done since this video is I ordered an edge scraper from Aircraft Spruce. It's basically you run it along all of the edges of a piece, and it acts like the cutting device for the lightning holes. Same type of idea in that it just removes metal and it rounds it off and smooths the edges. I've used it quite a bit now since this video, and it's great. If you haven't gotten that tool already, I highly recommend it. Any aircraft supply, builder supply place will have it. The one I got was not very expensive. I'm going to say less than $10, and it'll definitely make things a lot easier. Problem I've always had is that using those brown Scotch-Brite pads, the edge, when you use it to try to round off and deburr the edges, it just cuts right through that pad and makes it not a very useful pad after a little while. So this tool will save those Scotch-Brite pads quite a bit, and it's very effective. It does a very good job. So anyway, as you see here, I'm starting to assemble the frame of the flap. You see the piece that's sticking up, that is the flap attachment subassembly. That's one of 2. Those are the pieces where you only drilled the holes in the left half of it. It has you assemble everything as I'm doing here, and now I'm putting on the second flap attachment subassembly. It has you assemble everything and then get the hardware out and install it and put washers in place to hold the 2 halves, separated where they're supposed to be, but hold them in place. And use all of that to line it up, and then drill the holes and match drill the right half of each of those subassemblies. So that kind of hopefully will help clear it up. In the next video, I'll show actually match drilling those pieces. but that's how you ensure that the hardware will line up so that when you go to actually attach it, it's not misaligned and it's not, at an angle, and the flap will actually move correctly and not bind. So now just working on the trailing edges. It's a 2-piece trailing edge, just because it's so long. And so it has you cut I believe it's about an 11-inch piece for the outboard end. And then it has you grab another trailing edge piece, wedge, and mark it off for the inboard portion of it. And you'll see that here in a minute. So anyway, this is where I'm going to let this video run out. It's coming along pretty quickly. The next video should be pretty much finishing off the flap, so getting close to being done with the right wing components. So anyway, thanks again for watching. If you get a chance, hit that like button for me. It'll help me out. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and you'll start seeing these whenever I release them. We'll see you next time.